Alright, we're going to go back now to our scene. So we're going to get out of our symbol by clicking on Scene 1. And I'm going to just go back to fit in a window. Actually, no, I'm going to go to 50% so that I can see all of my characters. And I want to position these characters on the scene. So with the owl, if you want to make, you're still on the transform tool. Again, I want to make sure that I size it up to something realistic. And I'm going to position it on the stage. And the same goes for the boy. I want to, oops, I don't want to drag his pivot point. I want to move him entirely there onto the stage. And I'm going to zoom back in just to make sure my owl is on the branch there. Yep. Okay, and now what we want to do is we're going to scroll over to around frame 230-ish and just highlight a section of frames for everything there and right click and insert frame so that we have some frames to work with. I never did use layer 12 or layer 1, so we can delete those if you have extra ones in there. We only need the ones that have something on it. So now we're going to go back and click on frame 1 to get your scrubber back to frame 1. And we want to click on our boy symbol there and go into, should be in properties. We don't want it to loop through all of those poses that we did, so we're just going to click on single frame and use that first pose of him standing there. And I might even just move him up a little bit too so we can see his feet, which were disappearing. Alright, next thing we're going to do is you're going to drag your scrubber over to about frame 50. And you're going to right click, and this time we want to be on the owl layer. So I'm going to click to make sure I'm on the owl layer, and I want to right click and I'm going to insert a keyframe. And now I'm going to highlight the owl, so he's highlighted there. And this time we do want his position to loop rather than just being in a single pose. So we're going to loop between those two poses of him flapping the wings. Next thing we're going to do is we can right click on the owl or in the timeline. We want to create a motion tween. So now at this point here, we're going to drag the scrubber to about 120. So let's just move this over. It's about there. And we're going to move the owl onto the lower branch. So I'm just going to click on the owl's position and I'm going to move him down here. Let's put him right on the end. Is that? Yeah. I'm going to move him over just a smidge. Yeah. Now we can add a curve. So on our motion tween, if you recall how to transform motion tweens, if we hover over, click on the line and sort of hover around it, we'll be able to, oops, I want to be on the selection tool though. I don't want to move the owl. Okay, I'm going to try that again. Yeah. So I want to get that little bendy line. So now I can curve how he's going to come into this branch. So do I want him flying up and around and in? So you can play with different options on how he's going to get there and preview what that might look like. Then we're going to click right next to it on frame 121. Yep. and I want to right click, and this time I want to split the motion. Hang on here. Why are you not letting me click on that frame then? There. So if it's not working, just click on a different layer and go back up. So I'm just getting frame 121 there now. And right click on that, and I want to choose split motion. And this time we're going to change the owl symbol's looping property to be a single frame. So I'm going to go to click on the owl again. This time we want single frame, and that would be frame 1, so he's in his rested position. So now we can test what we've got so far by pressing Control and Enter. Oops, I just explored it because I did Command being on a Mac. I'm not going to do that. Well, it'll preview it this way. So we've got the owl moving down to the next branch, flapping its wings. Now we're going to work on the boy. So we're going to go down to around frame 170. And I want to make sure that I am on the boy layer. And this time we are going to insert a keyframe. Yeah, because I didn't want to insert a motion tween yet, otherwise he would have had movement right from the first frame. So I want, starting at this position is where we're going to be able to start having some motion. So at this keyframe, we're going to click on our boy again to get into our properties, and we're going to change it to be single frame, but I want that second frame where he had those rockets coming out of his shoes. And now I can right click on him and create a motion tween. So that motion tween is starting here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drag the scrubber right to the end. And we are going to make our kid look like he's flying off stage. So I'm going to click on him and I'm going to drag him right off the stage. There we go. And again, I want to add a curve. So if I hover over the line, I can add a little curve to how he flies up there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert everything we used to create the background and convert it to one symbol. So I'm going to click on the star holding the shift button. I'm going to click on the fog, the tree, the ground, and the sky, all of those. And then I'm going to go up to modify and convert to symbol. We'll call it the background. And now I should be able to delete all of those symbols. So I'm just left with the boy and the owl. And let's put our background, let's add a new layer first. And we can drag our background onto the scene. And I can lock it in place so I don't end up messing around with it. So now we're only going to be working with these three symbols, which will make it a little bit easier to keep track of. What I want to do next is I'm going to create a new scene. So we're going to go up to Insert, and we're going to choose Scene, and we're going to drag copies of our background as well as our owl and our kid symbols onto the stage. And then again, I want to select all of those. So holding the shift, select all of them, right click on any one of them, and distribute those to the layer so that we have those 3 layers all there again. And then we can click on layer 1 and delete it since we're not using that one. Alright, so again, we're going to scroll to the right and insert some frames. So I'll go to about 180-ish, get some frames in there, right click and insert frame. And now we're going to zoom, well, we're going to make this scene a close-up. So what I want to do is I want to click on the square next to the background layer, this square here, so it goes into this outline mode. And I'm going to select the free transform tool. And now what I want to do is I want to resize this background. Oops, actually I don't want to be taking all of my other symbols with me. I just want the background. So click on that background layer. We're going to resize that background and make it much larger. And oops. And then I'm going to move it. So I want to use the selection tool. And I want to position it so that I get a close-up of that tree on the middle of my sort of stage there. And now I'm going to need to click on my owl and again resize the owl and position him on the branch. And again, in the properties, we just want to make sure that he's only looping on the first frame. Okay, we can position the boy at the top of the stage because he flew, oopsies, undo, because he had flown off stage earlier and we're going to be bringing him back in. So we want to make sure that they are sized properly. So the kid is going to be quite a bit bigger than the owl, so we want to make sure that he's sized up now in relation to the owl in the tree. And then we're going to actually change this to play once. That'll make his wings flap one time and then stop. With the boy, what we want to do, click back on the boy, we want to transform him. So we're going to right click on him. This time we're going to choose let's go up to modify and transform, and I want to flip him around so that he's going to be facing the owl. So we'll flip horizontally, so now he'll be in the right direction. And we're going to go to about frame 25 here, and we are going to click on him to check his properties, and we want him to be on single frame 1, and we are going to choose to be the first 4, and then we can press enter. So now he's going to go through all of those. Okay, so we flip the boy around. What we want to do now is click on frame 25 and we're going to insert a keyframe. And then select your boy, and we want to make sure that he's on single frame. He's going to loop the first 4 and press enter. Now we can right click on him again and create a motion tween so that that motion tween will start here. And now we're going to move the scrubber over to about 90, and we are going to position him down on the branch next to the owl. And if you want, you could add a curve or bend to your line if you choose. Okay, one thing I'm noticing though is my boy is only gonna show up to here because he's not entirely on the canvas. So what I'm going to have to do is size these quite a bit smaller to fit on there. And I can even perhaps move my background layer down. So let's grab the background. I'm going to zoom out some more. I can't seem to get that to move, so to resize it. Move it over here, so I still want some of that grass in there. And now I can move the boy down on the branch. I'll have to go down a little bit smaller in size as well. Zoom back in. And I'm going to go to my owl. He's going to have to be a little bit smaller as well. So in fact, I'm going to go back to frame 1. Get my owl on the scene. There we go. The boy's going to come in. Okay, he started large, so that means I should have shrunk him down to size at the start. That's a bit better. Alright, let's just fit it to window for now. And let's preview what we have. Okay. I'm going to take my background out of outline mode there. And I wanted that to loop. Okay, but I don't want him looping all of his poses like that because that will look funny. Oops. Okay, so now let's do single frame. Two. Let's try that one. Okay, I can't have this guy's feet moving on my scene. Let's try that again. Okay. Now my stuff disappears a little bit here just because it appears I don't have as many frames as my motion tween, so let's just insert a couple more frames there. All right. I'm going to move the scrubber to about 105. And this time I'm going to go to, oops. I want to right click on it and I want to split the motion again. This time I'm going to click on his symbol and I'm going to change it to his third pose. And then press enter to turn off his flying jets. One thing I noticed is my grass had disappeared from my background, so what I just finished doing was I went into the outline mode and I could still see the green outline of the grass. So then I just, holding the shift, I selected all of my grass and then I converted it to a symbol and I distributed that to the layers as well so that it was visible on my scene. Looks like I've also moved my fog now, which is not what I wanted to do. So I might have to go into, click on that symbol, and I'm going to just move my fog back in place here. See what that looks like. There we go. Alright, so if I want to now test all of that out, let's see what it's going to look like. Fine, so let's test our movie. Okay, so even though I've added the grass back to the beginning scene 1, it looks like it didn't transfer on to scene 2. So what we're going to need to do is go into view, and we want to go back to that other scene that we've created. And since I have now made that grass a symbol, I'm going to, oops, cancel that. I want to make sure it's on its own layer. And I'm going to drag the symbol onto the stage. And then I can free transform it and size it to fit. And just going to have to zoom out a little bit here. Oops. Unlock the background so I don't accidentally move it. I just want that grass. Something like that. So now if we test our scene, or we can go back to the beginning. Scene 1. And we should be able to test the whole movie now. Let's go to test movie. And there we go. So hopefully you learned how to create new scenes, go back and forth between the scenes, create some sort of close-ups, work in outline mode, and create some nested animations. Thanks for watching.